In 1964, Bob Dylan said, "The times they are changing." And what was true then is still true today. One of those things is our workplace. In 1964, it looked very, well, white and male. But today, things are much more diverse and much more productive. It has taken many years, a lot of struggle, and frankly, a lot of litigation and money for us to get where we are now. And as the workplace continues to evolve, smart companies now know that ignoring diversity can open the door to employee dissatisfaction, potential litigation, and even worse, decreased productivity. These days, the latest front in the diversity battle centers around gender identity. Hi, my name is Amanda Porter, and as a consultant and trainer specializing in gender diversity and gender issues, I often work with individuals, companies, and organizations as they learn to adapt to the new realities of dealing with transgender individuals. You likely have a lot of questions with regard to transgender issues, including just what is transgender? How should I deal with a transgender person in my workplace? And what are my legal obligations when dealing with gender identity? Well, let me assure you that with my assistance, you will be able to navigate these and other related challenges quickly and safely. When you engage my firm, we will eliminate any misconceptions or confusion that you or your team members may have about transgender coworkers or the transgender community as a whole. We will help your company to develop guidelines and policies that will prepare you for dealing with issues that may crop up when you have a team member who chooses to come out and transition to their authentic gender. Most critically, we will help your organization maintain and even improve worker engagement and productivity while dealing with these issues. Let me assure you, integrating a transgender person into your workplace can be a seamless, non-disruptive experience if your company proactively plans ahead for this eventuality. Now, let's learn a little more about transgender issues and the workplace. A recent study has indicated that more and more people are saying that they personally know of or work with a transgender person, and that number is growing at a rate of over 5% a year. Whether motivated by personalities such as Caitlyn Jenner, military heroes like Kristen Beck, TV shows like Orange is the New Black, or through news reports, the truth is that more and more transgender people are coming out of the closet and joining mainstream society. This trend will continue, and the number of people who publicly transition will grow exponentially in the near future. They are becoming a more visible part of the workforce, your workforce. And that is why companies are taking action around transgender issues. In fact, 66% of Fortune 500 companies have instituted a gender identity non-discrimination policy. That is a 990% increase since 2002. Additionally, 1/3 of Fortune 500 companies offer transgender inclusive healthcare coverage. That is up from 0 in 2002. So, if companies are responding to their changing workforce, things must be on the right track, correct? Well, as in many things HR related, there are challenges. For example, in a 2014 survey, 90% of transgender people reported experiencing or fearing harassment, mistreatment, or discrimination on the job. And 47% said that they had experienced an adverse job outcome, such as being fired or denied a promotion because of being transgender or gender nonconforming. And 47% said that they had experienced an adverse job outcome, such as being fired or denied a promotion because of being transgender or gender nonconforming. One of the results of that is that 71%, over 2/3 of them, attempted to avoid discrimination by hiding their gender or gender transition, becoming unhappy and unproductive in the process. Yet, the vast majority of those who did transition from one gender to the other, even in cases of a hostile work environment, reported that they felt more comfortable at work and that their job performance improved. It is no wonder that 86% of the general population favors equal treatment for transgender individuals. After all, people want to work with happy coworkers. Of course, you may be thinking, I don't have any transgender employees, or I've never had a transgender person apply with my company. But it is likely that you are wondering about your obligations regarding transgender workers and applicants under the law. It is time to face the facts. As time marches on and transgender people become more open and expecting of having their civil rights honored, the time to prepare is now. After all, inclusion and diversity in the workplace is good for business, isn't it? So let's look at 8 actions you can start taking today in order to make your business transgender ready. First is to educate yourself about transgender issues and the language of gender identity. This can begin with understanding the terminology used by the transgender community, proper pronoun usage, and then be expanded to include safety concerns and health care for trans people. Second is to understand the law. In recent years, the courts, the U.S. Justice Department, and the EEOC have agreed that discrimination based on a person's gender or gender nonconforming status is sex discrimination. Additionally, the federal government has also created protections for LGBT people who work for or apply to work for federal contractors, subcontractors, or suppliers. Finally, the number of states and localities that are passing laws regarding protections for transgender people is growing. That means that you should do a thorough review of laws and regulations that might impact your business. Next is to update your employee manual and corporate policies. This should include setting clear guidelines around acceptable workplace behavior, hiring practices, and more. It should also include the implementation of an open door policy that encourages transgender team members to come forward so that the company can assist them and their co-workers as they transition. Firms like ours can assist with this process, but another best practice is to emulate what other companies have already put into place. Fourth is something that all great employers do right now, and that is to confront and deal with discrimination in the workplace. This is broader than gender-based issues. If you have a zero-tolerance policy that is enforced around offensive comments, jokes, and actions in areas such as race, religion, national origin, and other areas, it becomes easier to integrate a transgender person into the workplace. And don't forget that having a policy and acting on it are two different things. That is why the power of your example is a critical factor. So far, we have been laying the groundwork for success. But what happens when you do have an employee who comes out as transgender? This is where action number 5 comes in, maintaining open and honest two-way communication. All great communication starts with asking respectful questions and with listening to the answers for both the trans employee and yourself. Discuss with them how they would like to announce their transition, how and when they will be presenting their true gender identity full-time, and what concerns they may have. And remember that it is okay to make honest mistakes. Both of you will be learning and adapting as things progress, and keeping the lines of communication open will help you both grow together. If it feels like you and your company are doing all the giving and are getting nothing in return, that is not the case. While you should want to support any employee who is going through a personal challenge, you have an absolute right to expect something in return. And that is for the transgender employee to meet or exceed standards for the quantity and quality of their work output. So make sure you, your transgender employee, and their co-workers are maintaining appropriate boundaries and staying focused on the job at hand. Speaking of personal situations, you will want to create a bathroom policy before the person comes out to co-workers. Bathroom and locker room issues are the single most common areas of contention between the transgender person and his or her co-workers. Oddly enough, bathroom issues usually disappear once the transition process becomes old news. You should encourage transgender people to use the bathroom that conforms to their gender identity, and may want to consider designating certain facilities as gender neutral. Number 8 is to maintain a sense of humor. Lighthearted conversations tend to put everyone at ease, and I can guarantee that funny things happen in your building every day. Just make sure that you and your employees do not trivialize the process or target any individuals with untasteful humor. So there you have it. 8 great best practices that you can begin implementing right now to improve your readiness for dealing with a transgender employee. But I want to give you one more tip. And that is to seek out an expert who can review your policies and provide training on diversity and transgender issues to your team. In fact, I would like to tell you about 2 brief seminar programs that you might want to consider for your workplace. First is Transgender 101. This 45-minute presentation is designed to familiarize you and your employees with the transgender condition. In this interactive seminar, we will discuss terminology relevant to dealing with the transgender community, why a person is transgender, the condition of gender dysphoria, how to interact with a transgender person, and how to prevent transphobia and harassment in the workplace. Gender transition in the workplace is a 90-minute presentation designed specifically for human resource professionals and company leaders. Designed for policymakers who wish to integrate gender identity issues into their company operating procedures, it will expand on the topics covered in Transgender 101 with the addition of information regarding the process of transitioning and how to integrate it into your policy manual, a review of company responsibilities, how to manage transitioning employees, legal requirements, best practices that are being used by other companies, and much more. If you have further interest in these or our other consulting services, please contact me at the email on the screen.